Hi everybody, JoshKnightTheFirst here again with another Kamen Rider Ex-Aid replay, coming to you with episode 4 of Kamen Rider Ex-Aid. Let's get right into it. This episode had a ton of plot to cover, and I can't believe that we're actually getting this much so early on in the series. That's great, I'm very happy for that, but let's go ahead and give you guys the details. So as with the last couple of episodes, this episode focuses on a particular writer. In this case, it's going to be Kiriya Kujo, who is Kamen Rider Lazer. He's the medical examiner there at the hospital that Hiro and Emu work at. He gives off a very aloof sort of personality, but at the same time he seems to be very devious, very calculating. According to what we're told, about 3 years ago, after the events of Zero Day happened, he actually went to the Genm Corporation and seemed to have figured out just exactly what was going on, that there was a virus being spread. In exchange for his silence, he seems to have extorted out the use of a gamer driver, which is why he is able to transform into a Kamen Rider. As far as his abilities as a writer go, he's about the same as everybody else, with one notable exception, which I'll get to in a second. Of course, there's his level 1 form. In level 1, he's in that same sort of SD chibi form. He's got 2 large wheel weapons, which serve a purpose later in level 2, but he seems to have all the same attributes, same speed, same durability, things like that. The most notable thing about him is when he transforms into his level 2 form, which is a bike. Because his Gashot is a racing game, he in turn turns into something that belongs in a racing game. In this case, he's not the rider itself, he's the bike. A notable thing to bring up is that he doesn't seem to be able to achieve his top speed on his own. He needs someone to ride him. Now, I'm not exactly certain why they decided to go with that decision. It's a little interesting and a little bit off from the beaten path as far as a rider getting his main mode of transportation, but I assume there's a reason for it. At least I hope there is after this episode. Speaking of things that happened in the past, we're given a lot more detail about the events of Zero Day and what exactly went down. It turns out that the Genm Corporation had developed 10 different Gashots, or really 10 different games I should say. Out of those 10 games, all of them seem to be corrupted, and that's what gave birth to the Bugsters and eventually gave birth to Zero Day itself. From those 10 corrupted games, 4 of them were retrofitted into creating the Gashots themselves, which have the capability of turning a compatible Doctor into a Kamen Rider. Those 4, of course, being the ones that we've seen so far: Mighty Action X, Bang Bang Shooting, Tattle Quest, and now Boxo Bike. Now, the president of the Genm Corporation does let the CR know that they're working on 4 more Gashots to be revealed within the next few days, which of course will be the ones that will allow the individual riders that we have already to achieve their level 3 forms. These being Gekitotsu Robots, Jet Combat, Doremi Fa Beat, and Giri Giri Chanbara. Now, the importance of that is they're letting us know ahead of time that, hey, these are basically the toys that we're going to have available in the coming weeks and months, so just get ready with your pocketbook. Now, as far as the action is concerned in the episode, this is another Koichi Sakamoto directed episode, so it's worth noting that at least half of the episode is nothing but action. And the thing about it is, it's not just action for action's sake, it's action dedicated to moving the plot along. The first bit of action that we get around the 7-minute mark is devoted to just showing off Kamen Rider Lazer himself and what he can do, and then later on, towards about the 15-16 minute mark, towards the end of the episode, that whole block right there is showing what Ex-Aid can do in conjunction with Lazer. I do appreciate that, much like Kamen Rider Kuga all those years ago, this is another show where it's only until episode 4 that the writer actually gets his rider machine or mode of transportation. It's nice seeing that Toei can remember something like that and harken back to it even this far removed in the modern day. I do appreciate that very much out of them. And as for the fights themselves, it's still exactly what we've come to expect at this point, and now I'm starting to be cautiously worried, and I'll explain why. Because the action so far has been excellent, it's been great, it's been consistent, it's been well paced, it hasn't been too completely off the wall, the CG makes sense where it is. I mean, admittedly, I could do with less CG when it comes to Kamen Rider Lazer, but given his gimmick, that's to be expected somewhat. We're treated to another round as well of Snipe versus Brave. Brave absolutely does not want Taiga to have that driver. Taiga doesn't care, he wants the power of the Gashots, and they're playing that up fairly well. I hope that continues for another couple of episodes. One thing that was nice to see in this episode was that we were treated to a little bit of guest star power. At the beginning of the episode, we're introduced to our victim, or really victims, a brother and sister combo, both of which are notable tokusatsu actors. The sister that we're introduced to at the beginning is Runa Natsui, who is most famous for playing Kaoru Shiba, the only female Red Ranger in Shinkenger, and her brother is Takuya Negishi, who plays Hikaru, the main character in Ultraman Ginga. So it's nice to see early off in this show that we're also getting those cameos, tokusatsu cameos. I hope to see a lot more as the series progresses. And of course, I can't talk about this episode without talking about the interference, or continued interference, I should say, of Kamen Rider Genm. Again, we see Genm brutally attack Snipe and Brave using the Shakariki Sports Gashot, which he then uses to achieve his level 3 form, which is basically putting the bike itself on top of him and wearing it like armor. It would be cool if it weren't for the fact that the dark purple, pink, and lime green really clash. But really it goes to show, besides the design itself, that there's a lot of power in having a level 3 form, and he easily outdoes any of the other riders. This of course is the tease that leads us into the next episode, where we will see Exed get his level 3 form using the Gekitotsu Robots Gashot. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about him getting a power-up this early on. I guess you would call it a form change, but not quite, given the aesthetic that they're going for. Really, if we're already getting level 3 forms here in episode 4, and then we'll have another one in episode 5, we should run out of the basic ones by about episode 9 or so, and I'm wondering if that's a little too soon. I get it because we've already been treated to scans of the next toy catalog, and we'll have more toys coming in, more power-ups for the different riders, another rider coming along. I just hope, and again, cautious optimism here, that they will keep to the pace, they will keep to the storytelling as well as they are, and not focus too much on the toy selling. The toys will sell themselves, just so long as you keep to the story. It's also interesting to note that Poppy People Papo is hardly in this episode. Asuna is there more often than not, and I'm wondering if they're responding to some of the criticism like, oh, I don't know, she's not really my kind of character, so they're actually focusing more on letting the actress play the role that she can grow more in. I imagine we'll get more Poppy People Papo once we get that Do Re Mi Fa Beat power-up for Brave, but aside from that, I can't say I disagree with the decision to leave Poppy herself out of the story and focus more on Asuna. I actually prefer that. And like I said, next episode we're going to focus more on who the actual identity of Kamen Rider Genm is. I'm not exactly sure who it is. It's not somebody we've seen visibly already, but I hope they've got a good explanation for why they look like that, why they sound like that, and then, of course, why they are actually fighting the other riders. But yes, this was another great episode. I'm very happy with the series as it's progressing. We're already a month in, just about. I want to hear your responses. What did you guys think of this episode? Who's your favorite rider so far? What power-up are you looking forward to? You can always talk to me over on Twitter during the week. I'm at JoshKnightFirst. This has been another Kamen Rider Exade replay. I'm JoshKnightTheFirst, and I will see you guys again next week.